Welcome to my channel. Thanks for joining me. I'm not really sure what I'm doing here, to be honest. I don't know how to film, I don't know how to record, I don't even know if I'm looking in the right spot on the camera, but I'm really passionate about cooking. For those of you who follow me over on my Instagram, you'll see that I'm always cooking. So I thought I would share my super simple recipes with everybody and share some tips and tricks to save some time in the kitchen. I'm all about taking shortcuts in the kitchen and making life easy. A lot of people think that you need to spend hours in the kitchen to make really tasty, delicious dishes, but that's not the case. I love making like 15-minute meals, things that last a while, things that you can freeze, just to really save time in the kitchen and make your life a lot easier. For today's first episode, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself and then we'll get into some meal prep. So I'm Sam, I live on the Gold Coast with my partner and my son. Before that we were in Brisbane, we've just been here probably 2 months now and love it. So what am I going to bring you? I'm going to bring you lots of meal prep, kitchen hacks, how to save time in the kitchen, how to save your food, how to make the most out of your food, how to reduce weight, a bit about what we eat, a little bit about what we do in our life, and yeah. So let's talk meal prep. So this first episode I thought I would just focus on prepping because meal prep's such a lifesaver for me, especially since having a child. If I don't meal prep, I find that my whole routine is out. So later down on the track we're going to do some kids meal prep, but today we'll just do meal prep. This is something that I do for myself and my partner. When I do meal prep, I don't usually meal prep a meal, I actually meal prep some ingredients. So you can have variety throughout your week and just kind of mix and match whatever you want and make up your own meal. So usually I do a couple of proteins. Today we're going to do some spicy chickpeas and we're going to do like a sticky tofu. Then we're going to do a couple of grains. So we'll do a brown rice and a quinoa. I haven't cooked that on this video because you can just follow the instructions on the packet. Then we're going to do a salsa and a pickled carrot. Then we're going to do some roast potatoes. Then we'll do a roast capsicum and roast onion. Then we'll do a tamari tahini sauce and then a mustard vinaigrette. Then we're going to have some leaves as well, like some mixed leaves and some spinach that we're going to mix up and create these meals. So it's going to be, essentially, it's going to be like having nourish bowls, and we're just going to make those up either, the night before, but at least you've got all these ingredients prepped in your fridge. So as I said, everything's super simple, and this whole prep took me an hour to do, and that's going to save you so much time in the kitchen throughout the week. And yeah, I hope you enjoy.
Alright, to start our meal prep, we're going to roast up some potatoes. We are just going to cut them into really big chunks and we're going to put them in a roasting tray, and we're going to add a drizzle of olive oil and some salt and pepper. Then we're going to put them into the oven for approximately 30 minutes on 200 degrees. This will vary depending on different ovens. Our next step is to cut up a capsicum. I've used red capsicum, but you can use green or yellow as well. And we just want to cut them into big chunks as well. And then we're going to pop them into a roasting tray. Next, we're going to do the exact same with a brown onion. And we want to make sure that that's cut the exact same size as the capsicum so they cook evenly. And we're going to pop that into the roasting tray with the capsicum. Then we are going to drizzle it with olive oil, salt and pepper and balsamic, 1 tablespoon of balsamic. I don't know why I use such a big tray, but it's still going to work. Now we're going to make a little bit of a salsa. It's just going to be coriander, spring onions and tomatoes. I already had some spring onions cut up from earlier today, so I'm just going to go ahead and use those for my salsa. Then you want to dice up a tomato You can make it whatever size that you want. I want it pretty similar to the size of the spring onion. And then you're just going to add it into the little bowl. Next we're going to cut up some pre-washed coriander. Make sure your coriander is washed because it gets quite dirty and can be really gritty. Then we're just going to add some olive oil, salt and pepper, and the juice of 1 lemon. And then stir that up and put it aside, and that's ready to assemble with your meal prep. To make the pickled carrot, you want to just peel off the outside of the carrot and get rid of it, or put it with the scraps that you use for composting or however you get rid of them. Then we are going to peel the carrot into ribbons and pop them into a jar. I'm going to put the pickling liquid ingredients up on the screen so you can see that, and you want to have it in there for 20 minutes before eating it. So here we have our marinated tofu. I've just put the recipe for the tofu marinade up on the screen, and just marinate that for about 10 to 15 minutes before you're cooking it. Now we're just going to cook our chickpeas. So these are just tinned chickpeas and they've been drained and rinsed. They're a really great convenience product. So I'm just going to add them into the pan with a little bit of olive oil. Then I'm going to add some spices, which I've put up on the screen for you. And then we're just going to add the juice of 1 lemon. That is as simple as it is, and you only need to stir it for another 5 minutes. That juice of that lemon is going to cook through the chickpeas even more and soften them up. And that is pretty much it. It's so simple and so tasty. Now the tofu is ready to be cooked. We want to place it in a really hot pan so that we get those crunchy outsides. So place all the tofu in the pan, leave it to cook for 1 to 2 minutes, and then toss it over and cook the other side for 1 to 2 minutes as well. Then we want to pour in the remaining liquid from the marinade and pour it all over the tofu and let that simmer again for about 1 to 2 minutes. Then we're going to add 1 tablespoon of honey, and this is where the caramelization is going to happen. So that should really start crisping up now. And once that's crisped up, then we can take it off the pan and put that aside with the other ingredients. So now we're on to sauces, and this is a tahini tamari sauce. Now I didn't really measure anything with this because I added some tahini and then it ended up being too runny, so I added more. So I'm going to put the correct ingredients that I've used on the screen with the correct amounts, and then you can just watch. So I'll show you how not to do it at the beginning, and you'll see that it's a little bit too runny. The consistency we're looking for is like a peanut butter consistency, nice and creamy. So the tamari combined with the tahini makes a really cheesy like taste, and it's absolutely delicious. This is the consistency you don't want it to be, and that's why I ended up adding more tahini, and now you'll see that it's starting to thicken up. I've made an absolute mess, as you can tell, and slowly it's thickening up, and it looks like this. So lastly, we're just going to make a little mustard vinaigrette. We're going to add a 1/4 of a jar of olive oil, then we're going to add the juice of 1 lemon, and then we'll add 1 tablespoon of mustard. You can add Dijon, whole grain. I used a mild English mustard, but yeah, again, you can use whichever one you want. Then I add a little bit of warm water just to help emulsify the vinaigrette. Then I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of nutritional yeast, and again, a little bit more water just to make that emulsify a little bit better. And then lastly, we're going to add 1 tablespoon of honey. If you don't eat honey, you can use rice malt syrup. And then we're just going to mix that up, and that's all done. So as you can see, we've created some really simple, tasty elements to be able to create really nice dishes for your lunches or dinners. You have your spinach, your lettuce leaves, we've got some roast potatoes, roast capsicum and onions, we've got some sticky tofu, spicy chickpeas, a salsa, pickled carrot, 2 sauces and 2 grains. This is so simple and so delicious, and now you can see how I've mixed and matched them up to make completely different meals.
Hi guys, thank you for watching my first episode. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that these recipes can help you make your life a little bit easier throughout the week. I tend to do my meal prep on a Sunday or a Monday, and that just makes my life so much easier through the week. It gives me that time to spend with my son and with my partner when he gets home from work, and just have a little bit of me time. So I hope that helped, and if you do like it, please like and please subscribe to my channel. There's going to be a whole lot more coming, lots of delicious tasty recipes, a little bit of an insight into our life, which is the next episode, and yeah, just a lot of fun in the kitchen. So I hope to see you next week.